Hi everyone, thanks for being with me. I'm posting this a wee bit late at night, so I don't know who the hell's going to watch it. As to who watches my show anyway is another issue altogether. But I am posting this because I've been thinking for last couple of days about an important issue here in Australia, which is building a AFL stadium in Tasmania. Now, there's two things here that I need to be clear about. Number one is I'm a fanatic AFL fan, and have believed for a long time that Tasmania needs to have their own team, which I guess will be called the Devils. Now, how that was to be structured, who knows? I just think that they're a state that often seems to be forgotten. They play Aussie rules football down there, whereas we don't play Aussie rules wholeheartedly in every state. New South Wales and Queensland are the exceptions to that rule. And I think that Tassie should have their own team. But should they have it at the expense of other people who are more needy? Now, I am a bit of a fan also of Albanese, and I believe that up until this point, the Labor government have done much of the right things in terms of policies that will impact us, whether that be lowering prescription drugs to putting in an infrastructure plan that will build more roads and develop the economy, and whether that's about bringing more manufacturing into this country or whatever it is. Don't agree with AUKUS for the same reason as I'm about to talk about with regard to this stadium. Now, when it comes to comparing the two issues, and one being a stadium, which certainly I agree will employ a number of people while it's being developed. Also, it will be filling in a space in Tasmania which is unused at the moment. So I understand all of that. It's in a central spot within Hobart, which will enable people to access it rather easily, I believe. So it ticks all of those boxes. But if we're going to do that at a price, and the price being that people who are homeless, people without permanent housing, people that are in private housing but are uncertain as to whether that private housing will be able to be maintained and whether or not they can be protected against any further rent rises. Now, these are major issues in our country, and there are major issues particularly in Tasmania right now. So it seems to me that it's going to be far more important that we use that money or we find additional money. So if in about 10 days or so, I believe the budget will be brought down, and if within that budget Chalmers is unable to indicate to us that further funds will be provided for homelessness and for the building of new homes or for the lowering of rents or making current housing more available to those that are struggling, then I think spending this extra $200 odd million on a place in Tasmania is going to be wasted. Now, Albanese has a chance, actually. He could very well make a decision at this point to build this, to finance. The majority of the finance is coming from the federal government, finance this stadium. He can justify it as much as he likes in terms of people coming to the state, the amount of money that will draw into the state, get all of that. We're here in South Australia with Marilyn Auscus are right into that sort of stuff. But if it's at the expense of people who are struggling and homelessness, it actually contravenes, I think, everything that I believe the Labor Party stands for. And I, for one, will be very disappointed if they are unable in the budget to be able to provide additional funding, at least the equivalent amount of funding that would be used for this development in Tasmania. If they fail to put in at least that amount of money into homelessness, then the Labor Party is in trouble. Now, the reality is that, and I'm going to do a post on this probably tomorrow, but the reality is that the Liberal Party will not kick back against any of this. They're the most disgusting opposition one could ever have. They were disgusting while they were in power, and they're even worse now that they're in opposition because they will not push back against having funding. But one of the things that is interesting is that as a community we can push back. Each one of us can Twitter, contact our local member, do Facebook, do YouTube videos like this, find a way to push back so that all of us can at least let politicians know that the first priority must always be those that are disadvantaged the most. Above everything else, you tick those boxes around unemployment, homelessness, alcohol and drug use, mental health, child abuse, and so on. You tick all of those boxes first. Family violence, of course, is amongst that. So tick all those boxes and then put money into a football arena. But don't do that until such time as all those boxes have been ticked, because the public will stand up against you. At the moment, it's one thing to sit back and say, well, I've got this incredible popularity, but that popularity, if you continue to do negative things that impact the public in a negative way or adversely, you're going to find that they will eventually turn against you. And Albo, you're on a roll at the moment, mate. You can keep this rolling by simply making sure that rents are taken care of, that people aren't putting up their rents on the people on low incomes, that people are not being kicked out of their homes because the mortgage rates are increasing and therefore rents will increase, and that those people that are living it rough don't have to live rough, not in a country like ours. That if we spend more money on providing appropriate housing for them, then they also can get their lives together. Without housing, people's lives are shattered. So and it's lots of evidence to indicate this, that if we are able to improve the conditions in which people are living, their well-being generally increases. They become more productive, are more likely to find employment, more likely to deal with other social issues that may sit in their lives, and are likely to get on with their lives. So housing is important. Don't miss this opportunity, Albo. And I'd just like to say that if you do wish to contact me, you can do so at this email address. And I'd also like to think that you may also wish to subscribe to my channel so that you can get notifications for any other videos that I post. Let me know what you think about all of this. Contact me and let's have a discussion. Thanks everybody for being with me. Take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.